In this video, we will be talking about the 6 different Creative Commons licenses, how they work, and the foundations they're built on. Each license has 3 different layers to it. The one you are likely most familiar with is called the Commons Deeds layer. These are the web pages that explain the key license terms in plain language that most people can understand. These Commons Deeds are actually an interpretation of the legal code, which is the base layer of any Creative Commons license. This is the legally enforceable language that actually allows the licenses to work as intended. While this legal code is written in English, for most people the language is so filled with legal jargon that it's difficult to understand. And that is why the Commons Deeds exist. Lawyers may be perfectly fine reading and interpreting the legal code, but the Commons Deeds explains each license in terms the rest of us can use and understand. The third and final layer is the machine-readable version of the license. This layer makes it easy for websites and web services to know when a work is available under a Creative Commons license. This is especially useful when someone is using a search engine, like Google Image Search, and wants to search specifically for Creative Commons licensed works. There are 4 elements to the Creative Commons licenses, each represented by a different icon. It is these 4 elements which, in various combinations, comprise the 6 different Creative Commons license options. The 4 elements are attribution, or by, by. All Creative Commons licenses include this condition, and it is represented by an icon of a stylized person inside a circle. Share alike, or SA, represented by a curved arrow. This means that adaptations or remixes of this work must also be licensed under the share-alike condition. Non-commercial, or NC, represented by a $ with a slash through it. This means the work is only available to be used for non-commercial purposes. No derivatives, or ND, represented by an equals sign. This means that people who reuse the work cannot share adaptations or remixes of that work. Combining these 4 elements in different ways gives us the 6 Creative Commons licenses, depicted here. They are the Attribution License, or CC BY, which allows people to use the work for any purpose so long as proper attribution is given to the creator. This includes adaptations of the work and even commercial uses of the work. The Attribution Share Alike License, or CC BY SA. This is the same as the attribution license, with the added condition that any adaptations must be shared with others under the same or a compatible license. The Attribution Non-Commercial License, or CC BY NC. This restricts people to using the work only for non-commercial purposes, and they of course must give proper attribution to the creator. The Attribution Non-Commercial Share-alike License, or CC BY NC SA. Allows people to use the work only for non-commercial purposes. They must make any adaptations available under the same or a compatible license, and they must give attribution to the creator. The Attribution No Derivatives License, or CC BY ND, allows people to use the work for any purpose as long as they give attribution to the creator, but they are not allowed to make and share adaptations of that work. The Attribution Non-Commercial No Derivatives License, or CC BY NC ND, is the most restrictive license. Attribution must be given to the creator, as with all the licenses. No adaptations of the work are allowed to be used or shared, and use of the work is only permitted for non-commercial purposes. It's important to understand that Creative Commons licenses do not replace copyright, but rather work with it. Copyright and licenses go hand in hand. It may be useful to think of copyright as a base layer of an intellectual property pyramid, and the Creative Commons licenses would be an additional layer on top of that. Tools that help further refine what is and is not allowed within the scope of copyright. This has a number of important consequences, such as Creative Commons licenses only apply where copyright applies. If there is no copyright on a work, then there is no need for a Creative Commons license. That means that if a work already falls under one of the exceptions or limitations to copyright, and therefore copyright does not apply, then neither do the Creative Commons licenses. For example, if you are using a work under a fair use exception to copyright, then copyright does not apply for your use of that work at all. This means any Creative Commons licenses attached to that work would not apply in that situation either. Similarly, when a work is in the public domain, there is no copyright attached, which means any Creative Commons licenses that are attached to that work are not enforceable. Creative Commons licenses only work in situations where copyright applies. The other important thing to remember is that Creative Commons licenses work with copyright, but not with other types of intellectual property. Creative Commons licenses have no effect, for example, on patents or trademarks. So while a Creative Commons license may allow you to use or reuse a work that is restricted by copyright, it will not affect any other restrictions on that work. If there are patents or trademarks that apply, you would need to deal with those separately. Finally, Creative Commons also has two public domain tools, represented by the icons shown here. These are not licenses, but are important to know about anyway. CC0, represented here by a numeral 0 inside of a circle, enables creators to dedicate their works to the worldwide public domain to the greatest extent allowable by law. Some creators, rather than waiting for their copyright to expire, at which point the work would enter the public domain automatically, would choose to simply dedicate their work to the public domain sooner than that. And this tool allows them to do that in those jurisdictions that allow it. The public domain mark, represented by a letter C with a slash through it, is not a legal tool and has no legal effect, unlike everything else we've talked about in this video. It's a label that is used to inform people that a given work is known to be free of all copyright restrictions. That is, that it belongs to the public domain. It's often used by museums and archives working with very old works that are known to be free of copyright. This has been an overview of the Creative Commons license types and how they work. For more information, including how different licenses may work together or more situations where the licenses may or may not apply, please visit the Creative Commons website at creativecommons.org.